Welcome to today's episode of Blending Fab, a podcast all about relationships where we explore expectations and lessons learned along the way. To keep up to date with what's coming up, be sure to follow us on Instagram at blending_fab. Let's get straight into it.
My first question is, do you believe in soulmates?
I absolutely, positively do believe in soulmates. I can even say a step further that I believe that there are things called divine counterparts. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but divine counterparts is pretty much, your other half. It may sound cliche, but I believe in that.
Gotcha. So divine counterpart is your other half.
Yes.
Well, do we only have one, you think? Do you think we have more than one? How does that work?
So I believe soulmates you can have many soulmates. It can be people that can be friends that you love. It could be your family. They're pretty much people that are part of your soul family that you travel with across different planes of existence and dimensions. I'm getting real like esoteric and like woo-woo here. But your divine counterpart is someone that you are experiencing the same energetic frequency with, and you're just having an experience in different bodies.
Got it. And I like it because it's not necessarily like a lot of times people hear soulmates and they feel like it's a romantic other, but sometimes a soulmate can be that person that you had that great bond with, that's that friend,
Right.
that person that you could go to and that understands you without you saying anything. It's like they can read the eyes, they can know the mood. You say, yeah, I'm fine. I don't believe it. Yeah, right. I'm not.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that. Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. So you feel like it's an instant connection? Do you feel like it's built over time?
For soulmates?
Yes.
I think soulmates, I think there's room for it to be both. I think there's something beautiful about recognizing someone, their energy right away. That's really beautiful. But I also think that soulmates, it can be something that is like developed over time, in my opinion. Yeah.
For sure. And then like unexpected, like, I didn't even know that you had the capacity to be this. It's like this.
Yeah.
The true hallmark. You? Yeah, I definitely believe there's. I agree that soulmates of being more than just that romantic partner and things of that sort. Somebody that you connect with, you vibe with, feel like you can't live life without, which is healthy and unhealthy at the same time. But hopefully having balance within that to know that we are human, so we can mess up. And a relationship won't always be perfect because it never really can be. I do get the piece of it being like instant. It's kind of like that love at first sight where it's like you just knew you clicked and y'all were going to be together forever. Yeah. But then also those ones where if you've been brokenhearted or somebody did you dirty, where it's like, oh no, you got to grow on me a little bit. And it's like, okay, maybe you are,
right.
The process of elimination. So yeah, that's probably my thoughts on it for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely love it when it is. I've only experienced that instant love at first sight once in my life.
Okay.
And it was the most pure relationship that I've ever had. And I think about it all the time. We're not together and it's kind of like, damn, and I kind of, everyone I've met after him, I equate to that level of energy. It wasn't so much like, it really wasn't him. It was like this, like, just our connection was so pure. It felt so holy and sacred. And I've been ruined for life for anything that may be less than that.
So that is hard because since that time, like, if the people don't meet that, level, how has it been for them? How long have they survived? Have they survived long, or has it been like, yep, nope, you got to go?
Usually my relationships last about 6 months, and then the men want to take it to the next level. And I know that I'm not your wife. So I kind of have to be like, I'm good. And, and I feel like if I did not have that other relationship that felt so pure, I would be married by now. Because on paper, these men are great. They're, kind and patient, and I can lean on them. But that intense intensity that I experienced, where I really felt like God's presence was there.
Yeah.
I can't forget it. I feel like I would be settling, and I would never want to do that to somebody else, not consciously,
Right.
you know?
Right. And that's big. So you said that like give me 6 months and then the guy's ready to go to the next level. In my mind, you're a celebrity. So with that, other pieces come with it, right? Because you have to protect who you are, you know. If you're making that decision, there's so many other factors that go into that.
Right.
And for us non-celebrities, it's the same where we want to protect who we are, but I feel like it's just increase just a little bit for you. And how is that process for you to know, one, in that 6 months, like, yeah, you're not the one, I'm gonna cut you off. But then I do want to explore this to see where it goes. And like, how do you find your balance in all of that?
So in my experience as an artist, I think it's harder for men to accept how free I am. Because men, or the masculine energy, likes stability, they like structure. Whereas me, I'm kind of like, I'm going to go with the flow and see what happens and work on this and manifest this. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you know? And so I need someone that allows me to live in that energy and not stifle me. And I feel like, I mean, he's out there, you know, but I think it really is hard for men to be like, what you doing, girl?
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I'm just being. You know, and I am a very free spirit. I will reiterate that. I'm very, very free. And I'm sometimes here, sometimes like I'm not here. And that also I think scares me a little bit.
Okay.
And I always have those conversations, like, you know, like, can I still be free in our oneness? And that's a conversation that I feel like, you know, that you should have with a potential partner.
And that's a good one, because in relationships, you don't want to lose yourself. So I think all levels that's a good question to ask. Can I still be free of, you know, have my independence, being able to explore those things I want to do? And in that vein of you being an artist, it's also like that creativity piece, right? So sometimes you're like in your vibe, you're on your zone. Somebody's in their vibe, in their zone, or their work, their passion, and things of that sort. And trying to balance having time for that person was like, what about me? I got you, but I really got to work on this right now. And that can be a process too.
Yeah. Even with family, you know, even though I can be bubbly, I am very much in my inner world. And so I do like to just sit with my imagination, my thoughts, and process. And they sometimes feel like, oh, Tamala doesn't want to talk to us. And it's like, no, I just am here in my in my inner world.
Yes. Because as a creative, you have so many different thoughts coming to mind. Like, done some shows, done some movies, and it's like other ideas are coming. Like, oh, that's great! I gotta write that down. You know, and they're probably like, "What is going on here?" It's like just the creativity juice is bubbling. And sometimes they're quiet, and you need that too, because if you just go, that go from them as well.
Yeah, I definitely need a lot of alone time. I think more so than the average person. So
it's funny. It kind of goes in the line of, I was just talking to a friend about introverted and extroverted, and I was like, I feel like I'm introverted. She was like, no, right, you know. Right, but sometimes you just like to be alone, you're quiet, you know, things of that sort. But then if you have to, I don't want to say put on, but if you have to be around people, you're going to engage. I mean, you're not going to come off as like, she's stuck up, da-da-da. No, you socialize, but if by preference, she'd be in a cut somewhere, in our business, you know. And some people don't take that well too, and then some people do take it well. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. So if I were to ever meet a man or soulmate, I would definitely need someone that can be a little bit independent, you know, that isn't always tugging at my energy. But that also takes some time to get there. Like usually in the beginning, usually I'm like, wee, like, oh my God, that's exciting, you know. But after the real Tamala would be like, okay. Talk to you later.
Do not disturb.
I would love a separate bedroom. Like I'm the person that if I were to get married, I would love separate bedrooms, you know.
Gotcha. My brother says the same thing. He was like, you have your space, I have my space, and things of that sort. And this is a good piece because I just was reading about it's Shirley Rock and her husband. They had been living in separate homes, and now they're coming together. And that is a process like none other. Like, how is that going to work? You used to kind of do your own thing. He left his socks on the floor, probably did whatever he wanted to around the house, or had like somebody clean it up. But like now the wife is here, husband's here. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. Wishing them well, but it is an adjustment. But the piece that you said of having like the separate rooms, you have to do what works for you. So that worked for them, and now they're going to figure out how this works together now. But why do you feel like it's so important, or how have you gained that confidence to know I want to be separate rooms and you're okay with that? Now, how do you feel the guy would feel about that? But how is that process for you?
I've been Tamala Baldwin all my life. And I know who I am. Like, I know that I can be a little bit messy, and I don't want someone in my face every day to be like, oh, Tamala, you left the cap off the toothpaste. Like, get out of my face.
Yes.
Like, so you have your bathroom, and it could be all like, and I could just be, So I feel like I remember reading a poem by Khalil Gibran back when I was in college. And it spoke about how when you get married, you can still be two trees together that simply, are on the same journey, but you're not one tree, if that makes sense. He says it a lot more beautiful. I'm sure I could find it, but it really is about, you could be your beautiful tree and I could be my beautiful tree without having to like, try, because like I'm an individual, like I don't, and so are you. And I think if someone's gonna, I'm all about acceptance. So you have to, and maybe that's why I'm single, because acceptance, but I also know this compromise, so can we compromise on 2 bedrooms? So
hilarious. Now, that part, well, a lot of parts you say were great. One part that I want to highlight too is that you have to know yourself. And that's really important. I think sometimes we get into relationships and when we didn't know ourselves, we kind of just accepted anything and went along with it and felt like, this is not what I was quite looking for, or this is not what I want, or we feel like we have to stay in it. But it's so important to know ourselves, to know I need my space and you need space. What again, I don't want nobody to have me either. Yes, I let the toothpaste off, let it be.
Right. And usually the men that I date are the ones that are like really like, they're all like neat and stuff. Like I get to see it. I get to see it. Like, Tamala, why are your clothes in the chair? Because they're on the damn chair.
Because sometimes you don't feel like it. You don't feel like it. And sometimes they don't feel like it either if they're honest. They have conditioned their minds, and it's great that they condition their minds, but I just need them to have patience and grace when I don't follow that as well.
And I don't want to spend my time bickering or squibbling or quabbling. What's the word? Quibbling with somebody over something so small. But sometimes those things can become like big issues. And I just don't want that to be an issue. Like, why are we talking? There's a way to fix it. Like, let me be me and you could be you.
Which is the hard part, that sacrifice, and because it's not about you and you get it, but finding out how to do that balance of what works for me, what works for you, and that's still being okay with this to move forward. And that's hard conversations that I think sometimes people don't have.
Yeah, like what if they, like, again, maybe I'm sounding like a little bit of a brat, but like sometimes people really snore. And like if we had 2 different bedrooms, it wouldn't be an issue.
And not something to complain about. So, and again, you have to know yourself. So some people could, be with somebody that's snoring and totally fine. Somebody else needs their sleep and it affects them and they can't go to sleep. It's like, let me go to sleep first and then you go to sleep. Again, you gotta have that conversation about what works for you. And what doesn't work for you. So you can find out if this is gonna be for happily ever or happily right now. With somebody new.
Right. And if we really love each other, like something like if we can fix it by simply having 2 different bedrooms, why not fix it?
Yeah.
I know that the world tells us like, oh no, husband and wife should do this and do that. We can make our own rules,
Yeah. That's the biggest part, I think. I'm gonna share this couple. I saw where a couple. She was they were on a trip and she was lactating, so she had got really full, and he was like, I'll help you because she didn't have a pump. He then helped to relieve her and things of that sort. And at first, I'm like, why did they even tell their business to the world? Because the world is going to right. But that's what worked for them. He saw her in pain. He wanted to be an aid to her, and he did that. And sometimes I think decisions that we make, sometimes we tell the world and they don't understand it. You kind of decide to have that conversation with the other person of what it is that you want to do.
So did they show how he helped her do that? That sounds very...
So
like, I don't know.
She was breastfeeding him, and that helped her to relieve. So then she wasn't so heavy and things of that because they was on a vacation trip. And by her being relieved, she then was able to enjoy the trip as well. So like it was like a win for both of them. They was like his skin got clearer. He was doing good and hadn't been sick as much. I said, it's really some liquid gold there.
Oh my God.
I think my only drawback was like, I wish they had never told anybody, but the weirdest things that they do on TV or right there do stories of weirdest things. And that's how they got in there. But it's really great, important that if you find out what works for you, that you let that work for you and don't let the outsiders mess you up. So like, if you want to be in separate rooms, somebody be like, oh, why would you do that? You know what you need to survive and thrive. You got to stick with that. And sometimes people feel like they have to have say in conversations that really don't even involve them.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
This has been a year of knowing a lot of people's business from the internet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it. But I will say, if I were to get married, I would want my husband to shout me out on his social media. I think I would want that.
And that's something too, because like I know some couples where they don't really share about their significant other, and then some they do share a lot, and then they stop sharing. I'm like, what's going on?
Right? Yeah, and that's maybe part of it. Yeah,
you get a little nosy, and sometimes nothing's going on. They just stop sharing, for whatever the reason, or like they be like, oh, I got me a boo, and then you share, and then you don't see them no more. No, we want to know what happened. You didn't start the story. What's going on now? So then we get nosy. So that's the blessing and curse of social media. It's great to share what's going on. But your consistency, people are watching and say, they stop.
That is true.
They not doing this. They not kissing. They not talking. You see that post he put up? People could make a new story out of nothing.
That is very true. That is true too. I agree.
Yeah. But again, if you want to be posted, like having that conversation, because like they post you, you're going to post them. Because then it becomes tit for tat sometimes for some people. It's something going on.
Okay. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't think I would get that far. But, sometimes, like I look at some people's pages on the internet and you just don't see their spouse. And I don't know. I would just want to be recognized online.
Yeah.
If I was like, with somebody.
It's it's even for in person. I know this guy, I saw him walking around with his ring. I was like, okay, he's married. And then I saw him not wearing his ring, but then he be in people's faces. And then somebody said, aren't you married? He was like, yeah. Where's your ring? He pulls it out of his pocket.
See,
people playing games. So on social media, you want to make sure people know that you're taking, but in real life,
yeah.
You're taking. I mean, I know some people don't care and they do affairs and things of that sort, but the hope is that you're respecting your partner, who you said, for better or for worse. All those vows, I didn't get to see them yet, so I don't quite know what all of them are, but y'all know what they are. You know what I'm saying? You make those vows and say you're going to be with this person. So being mindful and careful how we represent ourselves and our partners if we're in a relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. That's so, again, those are so like small things too, but I can, I would talk about it for sure.
Yeah. Same. I always joke. I was like, y'all not going to know until I'm getting married. And they're like, why? I was asking best friend. I was like, so if I eloped, how would you feel? She said, as long as you call me when you saying I do. I said, that's not quite an elope, but okay. Yeah. Because you want to be able to protect it too, because so many people say things like, oh, you would have done what y'all doing. Mind your business. Let us figure out what it is we're doing. And then we'll invite you in. And if we mess up, we're going to take you back out again too. So that's the part of like, you show that you got the mate, and then like you don't see it anymore sometimes because the people don't know how to respond and act. They want to be in your business.
But they don't really care. Yeah. They don't really care.
Or misery loves company. There you don't have anybody. So like, what can I do to kind of mess up Sam? Look.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. No one knows who I'm dating on social media. Like, unless we're married, you don't get that kind of love.
You gotta see how long this can last first, because social media is forever. They screenshot, save it, and then they run it back.
Yeah. And like, I still have some of my exes, you know, back when I was younger and dumber, on my social media. And you know, a lot of them are married now, and they haven't deleted, you know, our stuff. And I think that's really cool too. Like, they respect, you know, that there was a time when we were together. So
yeah, and that's definitely maturity, because though it didn't work, it still was a season in my life that helped me to still be the person I am today. You know, so still having a tribute to that. Some people do well with that, some people don't. That's a conversation that people should have to know. But why you still got them on? You feeling them? Nope. No. You know, because people insecurities become real. So yeah.
Right. What would you do if one of your potential boyfriends asked you to remove somebody from your social media? Would you?
So I do good not to post anybody. I post my or me and my brother, sister, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, what if?
Right.
And he was like, no.
If they're significant other, then I mean, I respect them, so I will remove it. It's not a problem. I don't see a problem with removing it, but also, I don't. You know, all right, here we are. Sometimes people could be insecure, right?
Right.
And it's the simplest thing of they asking you to remove it, and like it's a respectful conversation, things they story, they express their feelings and things of it. Cool, we remove it. Because if you keep it there, they're like, oh, you must really like that person, And though I cannot heal their insecurity, they have to go through that process for themselves. It's finding out if I want to win a battle or have the relationship, you know. Sometimes it's like, I want to have a relationship, so let it go, because it's old anyway, you know. With you now, we're going to see how we go. The hope is that you get posted right now, because right now you ain't, you know.
Right. Okay. I'm definitely on the other side of the spectrum. I don't think that I would. I would feel a little bit like, again, like that person's feeling insecure. And I don't want to enter a relationship with that kind of energy or that kind of person. Again, like, I know we're all on our healing journey, but at this stage in my life, you know, that's something I don't really want to go through. And then also, I feel like it's a little bit controlling. Like, oh, Tamala, you know, like, take this down. And then what's going to be like, oh, Tamala, wear this. You know, I just don't like that feeling of, again, not being free.
Definitely both sides. I think it's really important to have that full conversation, too, to find out where their thinking pattern is. Because if those other things do trickle around, it's like, red flag.
Right.
It's not a circus. We don't want to be there. So make sure we're identifying these red flags as things that we don't like and we want to remove ourselves from or address. Because sometimes we'll see, but like, oh, it's cool. He just loved me. He want to know where I am, what time I'm going to get there, what time I'm going to leave, where I'm going next. No, sometimes it's a little concerning. So.
And it's amazing how, like, you know, because of life, like, you grow and evolve. Like, when I was younger, you know, my 20s, I would have been like, oh my God, like you said, like, oh, he cares, and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, immediately my like alert, my hairs go up, like, oh boy.
And that's another part too of maturity. As you get older, there's some people that could care less about those pictures. And then there are some people that could care. And those that do care, really finding out the root of that. If it is an insecurity, that's a whole different conversation, because it could really mess us up down the line. While somebody else be like, I don't care, I got you now, I know you coming home. Cool, you know? So just knowing it can go anyway. But I see both sides, open to both sides.
That's wonderful. I think that's wonderful that you're so open, you know? That's great.
I try to be. It doesn't mean that it might be something else that have me like, no, or like, that's concerning, you know. But it's like both sides.
I think it's you seem very understanding and like patient in that regard, which is beautiful.
You know, But again, this is this situation. It could be something else, and it's like a different thing going on. Because you telling me to remove something, but who you texting? Who is Bianca?
And for me, like if I have those feelings, like we're done. Like we're done. Like like I don't think I'm at the point where I can be like, oh, let's explore. If I don't know, women are so intuitive, and I feel like, especially now, like with the divine feminine rising, I don't know if you feel like just more in your power. When something feels off to me, like I trust it. And then I remove myself.
Absolutely. And because there have been situations, or like all kind of relationships where like you give the person a try and they do something off, they're like, all right, I'm gonna cut you off. And then you give them a chance again. And then you do it again, cut, done. Can't do that again. One, because I'm putting myself on a roller coaster. I should never put myself on again. Because I took the chance the first time and you messed up, tried again. So yeah, when you know, when you just want to protect your peace and stay away.
So speaking of that reminds me of Ashanti and Nelly and Circling the Block. What do you think about that?
I think it's so cute a little bit. He seems so happy. She seems happy. And it's funny because, when they came back around, they're like showing videos and she was like, I would never get back with them. It's like, whatever happened though, and that's the thing of never say never. We never know. It's working now. And sometimes we grow up, they, share that they were young, so they feel like people are in their ear. And I think it's good to sometimes wait. Sometimes people do rush into things. And it doesn't work. I wonder if they would have gotten together then, if they would have still been together now. I feel like they may have done some maturing, some growing up, and now they're at the place of, yeah, you was that one that got away. I want to be with you type situation.
I love it too. Even though I speak about, having my requirements and like my intuition, I totally, believe in that. I feel like it's true love. Like sometimes you need, that 10 years, 15 years to like mature, to be able to handle the responsibility of that, So the woman that I am today is very different from the woman that I was 10 years ago. And then in 21, so I just feel like,
And we're growing and evolving every day. Like what we like yesterday has changed today,
That's true.
And as we mature, we find out what it is that we do want, what it is we don't want, what we will settle for, what we won't settle for. And again, knowing ourselves.
Yeah. And for me, knowing myself, I have been abstinent for a decade. It'll be a decade? No, it's a decade. Oh my God. Because I know how much I love sexy time, and how sometimes I can get, stigmatized basically, So I personally know that I won't have sex until I know it's like, for sure.
Again, you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself.
You don't seem surprised that I said 10 years. Mostly I get like, oh my God, girl, 10 years?
Yeah, no, because so I've been absent as well for some time now. Because like when your feelings and emotions get and stuff, and you got to be careful.
Right.
And then we're not always wired like some others. Some are wired where they can kind of hit quit and keep on going. Some are wired where you kind of hit and like, you didn't go. I need a roller coaster in my life. So trying to be patient and wait for the process of being intentional for the next one, that is forever, not just for a moment. Because those moments are nice, but they don't last forever. And it's more than just that moment that could come with it. So I want the whole package.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like you said, I'm definitely built a certain way, where it feels very, very sacred and very special, So I can't do the whole moment thing.
And it's growing up, like, they'll say, don't have sex until you marriage, yada who. But I think a better conversation is to have of the effects that it could have on you, depending on who you pick and things of that sort. If it doesn't work out, caring for your heart after that. If they just used you, caring for your heart after that. If they started to abuse you. So really having those conversations of, because if we tell somebody don't do it, don't touch it, you're gonna get burnt.
Right.
I didn't get burned. I'm doing it again. Oh,
Right.
I got burned. How does that process go? And a lot of times the people that are telling us are those that have also had sex before marriage and things like that. So it's like, well, tell me the real deal, you know?
Right.
And I wish, you know, those conversations were held more, because then I would have made better choices my first time, you know?
I totally agree. Like, I feel like that age from, like, you know, between 18 and 24, I didn't have sex till I was in my 20s for the first time. I wish, because I did want to wait till I was married. I was one of those people that just wanted to wait.
Yeah.
And I do wish that I waited, you know, and not so much just for marriage, but like you said, you know, like, now that I'm older, like, this is where God lives. For me, I feel my body is a vessel of my divinity, you know? And so I can't just let any kind of energy into my temple, you know? But when you're 18, 19, 20, 16, the consciousness is different, you know? So
you want to be with the in crowd. Everybody else doing it. So what can I do? And it's like, I just wish I would have made a better decision, better choice.
Right.
But where I was at the time, that was the best thing, sliced bread. We live and we learn. So that also changes my conversation that I have with others. I remember a girl, she was like, her boyfriend's getting out of jail. I'm like, you got protection? Are you ready to have a baby? Like that conversation. Because I can't tell you don't do it, you're going to do it.
Right.
You know, if you're doing it before, you're going to do it when it gets out. The thing is, what protection are we using? You know, not just, you know, baby, but STDs are real. Anything that happened in the time, he's been going and came back, you know. So really having those hard conversations, I think, are better than telling somebody, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Because again, you say don't do it. Let me try it.
Yeah. Speaking of STDs, I remember when we were growing up, there were like programs, commercials everywhere about like wrapping it up and, you know, all this stuff. And I think that now, like, we don't talk about it as much. So I'm just curious, you know, like, you work with children, like, are they aware, you know, about AIDS and STDs? Because it was like shoved down our throats.
Right. I don't know that it's shoved down throats as much as it was before. But I remember I used to work at a residential, so I would do a healthy relationships group. And I remember one of the girls, she was just so proud to have this high number of bodies, and everybody was looking at her like side eye. She didn't realize that that's not a cool thing. You know? Or if that is your choice, what protection are you using in it? Because if we in and out of the doctor with different prescriptions, that's definitely not a cool thing, because sometimes you get burned with something that is not curable, you know? I do think that it should be for sure talked about more, for sure, in churches, because again, that's the premise too of you got to be married for you have kids. You know, I mean, on these kids, and you know, wasn't married, so like let's talk about it. Call a spade, because then they're like, Mama, you didn't do. It was like, you can't like argue with me, because like a fact is a fact. You got me before Daddy was married, or Daddy ain't around, and ain't been around for whatever reason. Life happens. Let's talk about it and like process through it. It's funny, I was watching, it was a show that was on, and a couple was having sex, and it was like, they didn't use no protection. So there's some people that are, you know, complaining on shows like, they didn't use no condoms and things of that sort. So it is in the thought process, but sometimes not always on the front process when we about to drop pants or things for some people.
Because even like Love and Basketball, which came out like in I think the early 2000s, there's that scene where they have sex for the first time, and they're like, let's, you know, the condom moment, you know. Whereas now you don't really, it's not as readily like seen or talked about. So I'm always curious if children are as aware of that, those kind of things.
Some of them are. I was just recently at a event where they did a study of STDs and things that sort, and they were talking about how often were the children getting tested, how often were they, you know, were you carrying protection and they carrying protection? This was boys and girls, teenagers, and who do you feel like you could talk to if you do have a problem? And it was interesting to see the numbers. A lot of them felt like they didn't have anybody to talk to. Some of them weren't really using protection because they didn't know about protection or how to get protection, not knowing that sometimes protection is really free. You go to the health clinic and things of that sort. So sadly, I don't know that it's being talked about as much as it should be. So it's time to really sound the alarm to help these babies.
I mean, they're just exposed to so much more than we were. It's very alarming. I'm not a mother. I don't have any kids, but I'm just like, damn, like they just see so much, you know, like, but yeah.
I mean, as a kid, you were just hoping you didn't run into the room to see nothing that you wasn't trying to see from the parents and things in it. And now it's becoming norm too, because so many shows.
Oh, really? Right.
You know?
Today I saw a commercial where they cursed in the commercial, and I was like, wow, they're cursing in commercials now?
A lot of things have been normalized. I was like, wait a minute, what? So yeah.
Times are changing.
I was like, I would never get away with that. Or how the kids respond to their parents, because this is a totally different season as well. I was like, I wouldn't have no lips.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, I would have really gotten knocked into next week. You know, it felt that way. But I also understand that sometimes some babies are having babies and they may not have had that role model or that guidance to be of that. So they're doing the best they know how. And sometimes we forget the importance of really connecting, relationship building. And like, if you felt like you didn't have the hope that you're there then for your child, but sometimes grandparents are raising babies, and it's a process based on some youth that I've worked with, you know, trying to support them through those processes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then never mind. I'm not going to talk about and the music these days. I'm like an old lady.
You know,
music.
I was so we'll talk about today's music, but you know, back in the day, music was no better. Now that you really listen to the words,
no, it was, but because like back in the day, you didn't know what they were talking about, like,
and now like listen to it, and you know what the electric slide is really about.
No,
a vibrator.
Yeah, they were creative with it, you know. And even the ones that are a little bit more explicit, it's still like pull up to my bumper. Like we know what it means, but it's still kind of like I'm sorry, I just quoted R. Kelly. Forgive me, y'all.
But I was so surprised to learn the electric slide.
Let's say SWV.
Yes.
Right. Or even like Rain on Me. I didn't know what that meant. I thought, you know, like like Rain Your Love. Like, you know, I didn't know what it really meant until like last year.
That's again, we didn't know. We weren't paying attention. Well, and then it's funny, because like it was a play with Tyler Perry. He was like, you wash your body, I wash your body, you wash my thing, sir. I'm gonna wash you because I don't know if you clean. That might have been accurate. He wanted to make sure she was cleaning all the places, you know, things like that. So it's just funny how, you know, when words are used to do such amazing melodies and have some underlying tones, like, oh, that's what they meant. You know, so yeah.
Right.
It's like
the words very much, you know.
Very, very much clear. I was slow on water though, because I was like, hey, I'm like,
okay,
got it. Got it. And they're younger and younger creating this music. So again, they are keeping up with the times. They know what's going on. They ain't missing a beat. And it's like, I was a little slow to the party, but I got you now. Aha.
Yeah. Like, but water, I still think it's very creative, you know, like the kids, I wouldn't have gotten that as a teenager, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they out here. They are, and they're doing amazing. Now, it's some songs that stuff concerned, I'm not saying it, but she was saying like some things in the song, but then it was like, turns out that's not even true for you. There's songs sometimes. It doesn't mean that it's directly to the person. It's just, you know, thoughts and feelings that came down on paper that's true for somebody. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. We learned so much from the music. So much from the music.
So would you want to have kids in this culture that we are living in with that in mind?
Oh, goodness. It's funny. I still would. Because I would hope to present the environment that helps them to know of things that are happening, but also know of things that are beneficial for them, like making decisions for themselves and not having to go with peer pressure, because peer pressure is really big, whether a child or adult. So being able to help them to make the decisions that best serve them and educating them on the options and empowering them to make the decision that works best for them, which is still really hard.
Okay.
And you?
I go back and forth. A part of me is like 60% no, 30% yes, 40% yes.
I was like, that 10% is undecided, y'all.
I
I
just feel like the world is so crazy right now, you know, and I feel like, I don't know, a part of me thinks it may be a little bit, I feel it being be a little bit selfish to bring somebody in right now, especially as a Black baby.
Yeah.
Sure. But then you always think like, oh, my child can like be the light and be the hope for the future. But I also know that life can be really hard, you know, and I'm not sure that I want to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 3 friends that come to mind when thinking of Black babies and Black boys, and they have done tremendous with their sons. They are grown folks now. Some are still like teenage, going into their adulthood, and it's just amazing to see how, one, they're respectful, they're doing the things they want to do, they have businesses and things of that sort. Some of them, some have, you know, wives and families now. And though I know that it was not easy necessarily to get to 21, 25, 30, 35, they are doing it. So there are some rare gems where they do get to survive the hell of life, you know?
Because I'm telling you, like, I feel like if anybody like did some shit to my kids, like, and I don't mean like kids bullying or fighting, but like police stuff or whatever, like y'all would see me on the news. So I just like I don't know. Like I just
for sure gotta know yourself, right? So that location definitely works to kind of know where you are. They have like the apps where like if you do get pulled over, you could call. So that somebody is recorded to be of support in those situations. But yeah, in my head, I still feel like it is a possibility. Like I wouldn't be opposed to it, you know. And my special self still went 1-1. Like I have older siblings, but I was the baby. So like it's like 15, 16-year gap with me and my siblings. So I was like,
wow.
I also need to have 2 because I feel like only child. Don't do that to your babies, you know. It's possible. So they feel like they're not alone as well.
Okay, that's beautiful. I didn't know that you had siblings that has such a big gap. Wow.
Yeah. Which is different. And I say like, you know, I felt like only child, like they may feel some type of way, but when I was growing up, they were like moving out, getting their own apartment. So I was the only one in the house. You know, it was me and mommy, you know, me and mommy time. And that was an adjustment. Yeah. And even more of an adjustment. My mom passed. So then like my siblings had kids and things and stuff. So they're with their kids and they're surviving. I'm like, I'm by myself because I'm a baby when she passed. I was 20.
Wow.
So that was like a process and things of that sort. But in my head, I still feel like, yeah, I feel like I could be a mom. And not that I can't, but definitely the fight against the world or the outsides. You know, you want to keep them inside and protect them, but they have to go outside. So hoping the best and like hoping that I don't end up on the news either. Because if baby,
yeah, I think about that sometimes. You know, like I worked on a project with this organization called the African American Foreign Policy, I believe. And they have a segment where it's about Black women that have been killed by the police. And you don't really hear about them all the time. You know, we hear about, you know, the Black men that have been murdered, but there have been so many Black women that have been murdered by the police as well. And just the trauma of it, you know, like even, pardon me for forgetting her name, but the one where the cop came and they were in the house playing video games and the 8-year-old nephew was there. Like I met their family. And the son, you know, the nephew is traumatized, you know, from that experience. It's just, I don't know. And so I do think about those things. Yeah.
Again, I think if blessed with opportunity, yes. If not blessed with opportunity, obviously you got to survive and figure out the best way that's going on. But also being respectful of others, because I have some friends who's like, I don't want kids.
Right.
For whatever reasons, whether, you know, they kind of just enjoy just living life and things of that sort, or they're unable to have kids or feel like they're unable to have kids or wherever they find themselves at, which is always a hard conversation too, because people will say, oh, you're still single? When you want to have babies?
Girl, can I just interrupt real quick? So I went on a date and it wasn't even like a real date. It was more like this guy that I reconnected with or whatever, and he had the audacity to say to me, "Oh, why didn't you freeze your eggs?" And it's like, bitch, how dare you? Like, that is such a inappropriate thing to ask. Like, we're not friends. You don't know me. What if I can't have kids? Like,
it's such a touchy topic. You know, my brother, he had shared that too. He was like, you know, he actually said, had you ever considered freezing eggs? Better way of putting the question, one.
Right. And he's your brother.
Yeah. And my response was, no, one, because it's not in budget. Oh, it's, you know.
Right? That's expensive. I think it's like an annual fee, too, to keep them frozen every year.
It's a lot going on. I can't even put them in a deep freezer. It's but two, I feel like if I am destined to have kids, no matter what age I am, they will happen. I've seen some 50-year-olds, some 60-year-olds, some 70-year-olds. Not saying I'm going to go that high, dear Jesus. You know. But if it's meant to happen, it will happen.
That's how I feel as well. Yeah, that's how I feel. So I'm kind of like, if I meet somebody and, you know, whoops.
Yeah.
That's kind of, you know, like, but I think I would have a very fulfilled life without children as well. Like, I don't think about that.
And that's big too. Again, being able to respect that. Because everybody's not graced to do it or feel like they want to do it. Be a mother, that great auntie, you know, things like that are big sis. So again, knowing
say in the dating world, that is a conversation that does come up pretty quickly, you know, like children. Do they want to have more children? Do I want to have children?
Yeah.
And the men that do not have children, you know, I feel like there's like this urgency to meet somebody to like get them, you know, preggers. Yeah. And I feel that sometimes, and I'm like, I want someone to love me first, you know, like, you know, me first.
Yeah, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. Right. Like you want to like go in order.
We don't talk about that. Like, we don't talk about how like the paternity clock is ticking. We hear about the women, you know, but there are men that also are ready and they have that primal urge to have a baby, you know. So,
and they're hoping to God that they make a good decision. I hope of who you select, because that's really important too. And it's funny, I used to say we take more time in the grocery store selecting what meats we want to buy, you know, what price this is $3.50, this is $3.49, let me get that one type situation, right? Or this one looks too bad, or this one looks this, and things of that sort. And sometimes we don't take that same consideration in those that we date. Now granted, they can portray themselves to be one thing, and then we open up that package and find out it's still bad.
Right.
But also just always evaluating to find out and make sure that it's still meeting the need that you feel you need for your life.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, their clock is definitely ticking like our clocks are ticking, or not ticking, or trying to tick.
Mine's kind of like asleep. She's like, whatever you want, girl. Like, you do you. I'm like, okay. Like, I never had that biological, physiological, like, you know, I don't know what that's like.
Right. Yeah.
Have you had that?
So ironically, I'll have a moment where I'll just like be to myself and I'll see somebody, I'm like, I'd love to be a, mom and things that sort as I'm getting older and things that sort. And then I'll meet somebody randomly and they'll tell me, oh yeah, I didn't have my first baby till 43.
Yeah.
And everything came out great because, after 40, they're like, it's a geriatric baby. I'm like, y'all disrespectful. My baby is a baby, but things can change. But I'll come across somebody, let me know, like, it's still hope, it still can happen. And that's encouraging, but I'm also learning to also embrace if it doesn't happen. And that's a hard piece to embrace too, if that's something that you desire. Shucks, the other day I was like, if I was to never get married, hold on, let me have a conversation with Jesus. I just say hypothetically, I would like to be, okay. Because I don't want him to be like, he good. No, don't pass me by.
Right. Words are powerful, yeah.
Yeah, but also really having the truth of that of if it wasn't to happen, there are some people that thought that they would be, and it did not happen. I still had to trust the process. I still have to do what it is that I'm doing. I can't give up life because it didn't work out. And it's like one of my favorite scriptures of in the Bible of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. if God doesn't deliver us, he's still God. So if God doesn't do it for me, he's still God. I got to trust him and know that he sees something that I didn't see. And sometimes it's that job that we wanted. It's that mate that we wanted. It's that home, that car, whatever that we wanted. And sometimes it doesn't work out. We got to be like, he saw something I didn't see. And sometimes that thing has come back around. I'm like, thank God I died. Okay. But going with the process.
I definitely agree with you. And it took me, again, maturity to get there. But I also feel that even though we have our ego, like things that we want, our mind, I really feel like our soul has their own agenda, and we're simply the avatar. And we need to get in line with what our soul wants to do. And sometimes it doesn't include our earthly desires, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I know that may be contradictory to what, the church may tell us, but I do believe that we're meant to serve our soul. So our soul wants to return home, to return to God. So that kind of helps me, because I thought for sure I would be married by now too,
but I did too. But when I reflect on some of the suitors or those that were around, I'm okay that it didn't happen.
Yeah, that too. And I also don't think that I was ready to be anybody's wife. Like I think I'm finally feeling it now that I can show up in a way that somebody would deserve. But most of my adult life has been a constant becoming.
Yes. And that's the big part too of that constant becoming. A couple years ago, I remember I went out with one of my big sisters, and they're like, what's going on? I just feel like, we need to check it. And we did, because I was going through. I was like, it was like, never get married. I don't got a boo. Like, what's happening? Everybody else. I'm snotting, tearing. My friend probably was coming to visit. Either way, she was going through, okay? And she said, if you had somebody right now, would you be doing the things you're doing? And I was like, probably not to the capacity, because I have time to really build and things that sort. So like, this is when I'm starting my podcast. The first one that I did, some things in the community, just trying to make a presence and things that sort of normalize the mental health. It might not have been at the capacity of what I was doing, because I would have been like, oh, how can I help you? How can I be there for you? Whatever you like, woof, woof, comes to America type thing. Because you're trying to make this work, whether it's the right thing or not thing, we get in that thing. And I was like, them tears got all together, because I had to trust the process. And it's like, it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it pulled me right together of like, stay on your grind on what it is that you're doing. And when it is supposed to happen, my great aunt would say, there's a naturalness to it. It kind of just flows and goes. And yeah.
I had a similar conversation with a friend, because the last guy that I was in love with, I thought for sure we were going to get married. And so it took me a long time to get over it. And she would say, oh, Tamala, would you have, accomplished, like having your feature film and all these things? And I'd be like, no, I'd be his sex slave. Like, I would be like, just like, whatever you want me to do, I'll be here. Forget the world. I'll be whatever you like.
Yes.
Whereas now I probably could handle it, but 10 years ago, I'd have been like, forget everybody. Like, forget my dreams. I would, whatever you like.
Yes. And the best part of the maturity is that now that where we're at now, it's not a whatever you like. It's what we like, Because if we would have been in that, they would take advantage of it.
Right.
We'd be messed up, Because
it would have been very codependent.
And they doing everything out with a whole bunch of other people and things because they can get away with it, because we like whatever you like.
Whatever you like. Like, let me just sit here by your feet. You want me to
toes? Let me cook your meal. And some of these things are definitely things that have in relationships, whatever works for you and things that sort, but still having that balance. Because like you said, with those two trees, still being independent. If you're so intertwined with that, sometimes that becomes a weed. You can't really grow. You can't flourish. You can't do the things that you were built to do. You can do it together, individually, independently, but
and that's why I say our soul has a mission. Like, I really feel like my soul was like, you are not ready. You are not ready. Because I was like all ready to be his sex slave.
There's no time. Then somebody told me the other day, I was like, I said my goal was, he was like, it's still time. I said, ain't nobody asked you. Plus, the month is almost over. We might as well wait to January, start fresh. Why we gonna start this, things? But again, still within limitations, or not limitations, but within the boundaries of the confines of whatever it is that you agree to with whoever the person, turns out to be. Yeah. Because sometimes also our expectation is like, you're going to be a sex slave and then you find out, oh, he can't even do it like that.
I will tell you, as I get older, that is something I think about. Like, once I finally get to have sex, is that going to be an issue, So I may have to be dating, the 20-year-olds or whatever, because I'll be damned if I wait 20-something years.
Period. And it's funny. That's a real statement, friends. That's a real statement. So they'll be like, what's on your list and things of that sort. And I don't really have much on the list because obviously my lists were trash and garbage because they ain't worked out. But what I do say is, God, don't mess up in that department.
Don't, please.
He can have a crooked toe. He can have a bald spot. He can have
I'll even take some halitosis. I'll be okay with that. Here, babe.
Don't mess up in that department because we done waited. We done trusted you.
Right.
He's gonna know how to rock the boat. Change positions. Working for me. That's what he said.
Like, I think more about that than about like not having kids. I think about that.
But again, that's an honest conversation. Because there's so many other things that some people get caught up in. I was like, I don't really care too much of a job once you got one, because if you got that hustle mentality, you're gonna get done what gotta be done for the household and things of that sort. Respect me, you care for me, like all those things. Great. I just want to make sure that he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And I get it, because when you're coming together with somebody else, you do have to learn that person to find out what it is that they like and things of that sort. Just be willing to be a student and a teacher, as I'm a student and a teacher as well, and we work it out.
Right.
And then we'll be fine, So that's one thing that I don't worry about, because I say, God, I done waited, and we're not gonna mess up in that area. God bless you.
Yeah. Right. Waited a long time.
Yes. They're not gonna be like, I gotta go to bed for a second. I'll be like, now Jesus. I'm usually get from strength like no other. Yeah.
I would throw a fit, girl.
That's it. So again, that's why I said, God, give you, whatever it is that you feel that I need, and throw in the want that I want of him knowing how to pay attention and take care.
Yeah, God knows that for sure.
Don't
play around.
We're gonna look back on these years later and be like, you did that, Jesus. You got that crooked toe, but you did that, Jesus. You got that halitosis. Now, I don't want halitosis, though, sis.
I know, I take it back. I think about that. I'm like, I'm just kidding.
Let's do regular walk every day. Yeah, we don't want that. Yeah.
The crooked toe. Yeah. The extra, like butt hair, whatever, because men are hairy. I'll take the hair.
We could get some there, we can get a wax, we get a razor. So it's, again, something we can fix. Us, with our hair. It ain't grown, we put some braids in, we put a wig on it, we worked it out. But it's just something.
Right. But that, yeah.
That. Yes.
Shoot.
So, this is honest conversations we have to have. Sometimes Absolutely. People don't have it, and it'd be great. We're here already. So I went to this strip club, right? And the first time I went, it was the time of my life. You would have thought I was part of the show. It was my birthday. It was graduation and birthday the same week. So months later, I went again, and it was this guy. He was not blessed, right? Endowed and things. I said he wasn't. And I didn't realize the conversation at first the girls was doing. It was like, and then when I finally called on, I was like, oh my gosh, they talking about this man right in front of his. I was like, I'm so sorry. You probably know what you're doing with it. God, I'm trying to make this man feel better. I was like, they just crushed this man's heart. Because that's another thing too, guys.
Maybe he didn't know, like, because he could have, they could
Now I was zoned out. It took me. He was legit right in front of us, so I felt like he did know, and then I just felt so bad. I didn't know how to help him save him. But yeah, you gotta have these conversations too. It gotta like what it is that you want, what it is you don't want, and
yeah. I dated a 50-year-old, and we got along so well. He was so much fun, so emotionally intelligent. Like we just really clicked on so many levels.
Yeah.
But of course, there are a few levels where I was like, but since I was abstinent, he did say like, oh, there were moments where he would express concern, like, what if I'm not, enough for you? What if I can't satisfy you? And I'm just kind of like, oh, you're making me nervous. You're making me nervous. Right. And I think, then also as they get older, they think about that as well. So that was my first and only experience with that, dating, like getting older and like being like, oh, maybe, I'm not 22 anymore. It's like, women, like we peaking, girl. We peaking.
Peaking. And waiting and trusting that when he comes along.
I will say, every year I'm like, damn, my boobs are getting like chopping and popping, and I'm like, Lord.
I was just talking to a friend today. I was like, I'm not blessed to walk a house without bra on. She was like, oh, it's the life. It's so nice. I said, okay, must be nice. I go out there, it's a problem. I've seen some ladies out there that should not have been out there without one on. Because it's like your ears hang low. Can you? Yeah.
Because I was definitely that when I was in my 20s, just like, now I'm like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, times have changed. Oh, what are we doing?
Oh, well.
Hilarious. This has been good. So now I do want to close out with a shameless plug for you. Because I've come to know you because of your amazing show, Bubbly Brown Sugar. And it was just so amazing to me because, when I was preparing for this, I was like, it reminds me of this a little bit, of the honesty, the realness of relationships and things of that sort. And I just want you to share about that because I want people to tune in. You can watch on Tubi and now on Oak TV. I'm just excited and happy for you. Could you share how it came about and small pitch for people to tune in because I think they should.
Oh my goodness. No, thank you so much. Thank you for following Bubbly Brown Sugar, for watching the show and just like letting me know that you enjoyed it. That's pretty much how we connected. So thank you so much.
Yay.
And the story, believe it or not, it's about soulmates or twin flames. And it's based on my experience, my personal experience with my ex, where I was having these dreams and I just didn't really understand what was happening to me. And then, of course, we broke up in real life and the love doesn't go away. Like, I feel like, that's like love, I feel like we have love wrong. Like we know what the Bible says, that love is patient, love is kind. But how many of us can really say that's how we love in romantic partnerships, right? So the love never went away. But so I had to do something with this energy that I was feeling, so I started writing the story. The story came to me and I put all of my heart into it. And all of the ancestors, all the angels and God was with me because I had never produced a movie or a film before. I was an actress only. I love to write. I've always written as a little girl and in high school, but I didn't really believe in myself. So this was me getting back to my roots, and it opened up so many doors. I was able to license it and make a lot of money, and then I got season 2, and now just so many beautiful ripple effects came from that heartbreak, and that's like, I think I'm in a way very grateful for that relationship, no matter how it ended, because it just helped me in so many ways, even financially, so.
Took you to the bank. I love it.
So guys, totally check it out. It's on Tubi right now, and season 2 is on Black Oak TV. But definitely catch up on season 1 right now on Tubi.
Yes, I have watched season 1. Several times. At first I wasn't gonna embarrass myself, but this is praise to you. I've watched it a couple times because then I find something new that I might not have caught the first time, or you pay attention to a different character the next time. It brings me so much joy. I definitely downloaded Blackbook TV. I did watch episode 1. We're waiting for episode. I couldn't see episode 2. I'm gonna go back on there again and try it again for myself. But how come I didn't see it? Because I want to see what's going on with Caleb and Joel. But yes, I'm so happy and proud of you for stepping out to do this. It's so big, and so many people, have the same thought of writing something, but they don't do that next step to really push it. And I know that it's a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears that went into it. But I am here as a flower to you, letting you know that it is blooming. It is doing great on this side. It is well received, and I'm so excited for what you still have yet to come. Blended Christmas, when is that coming out?
That's coming out in 2024. And I believe it's coming out on Paramount.
Yes.
So we'll see it on Paramount next Christmas.
Yes, and it's going to be good, friends. So please tune in, support. It's some good stuff going on. If you enjoyed this, you will enjoy and love Bubbly Brown Sugar. They talk about a lot of different things, relationships. Even in the show, you actually had a podcast where you were talking about relationships. Got pretty high a couple times. So again, these are conversations that need to be held, and I'm so grateful that you are being a conduit to be able to share.
Thank you. I do have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Did you know of Twin Flames before you watched Bubbly Brown Sugar?
I don't think I did. I don't think I did.
Okay. I was just curious about that because now it's like on Netflix and everything, and I'm like, I was one of the first to write to a movie about it, So I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
And I forget my second question, so never mind.
Always around. We could definitely chat again. I'm so happy for you. Is there anything that you want to leave us with? Someone that maybe wasn't shared or was shared that you want to kind of drive home for those that tune in?
We are the light that we want to see in the world, and doing Bubbly Brown Sugar was me moving in faith. I always talk about God and Jesus, and Jesus says, the works I've done, you will also do, but more. And so I just want to encourage people that are listening, if there is an idea or if God has given you something on your heart to share with the world and you are afraid, please know that God is with you. God will be with you. You just have to take the first step. I'm an example of that. I literally did not know anything about filmmaking. I had no money. I had no team. But everything was given to me because I said yes. So I hope that you say yes to yourself and yes to the light and the inspiration that God has given you, because the world needs it. The world needs our light. We are shifting on a collective level. And if you have an assignment, it is time to step up to the plate and fulfill your position. If you need help, I am available. I have a writing course. If you're a writer, I have a writing course I'm launching in 2024. So there are people there that are assigned to you to help you. So get on it.
Get on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Blending Fab podcast. This podcast has been brought to you by our sponsor, Chosen Counselors. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already, and follow us on Instagram at blending_fab. Check out this snippet from our next episode.
What it is, because I'll still be on that boat. It's like, no, I'm just being a friend. I'm caring for you. I'm looking out for you. You're right. So that's why I kind of be
that piece. And
that was nice.
And that is that piece, because in the back of my mind, I'll still keep it. No, you ain't commit. No, you never. And I ain't saying we got to keep saying it.
Right.
But at not one point, if you at some point, I feel like what needs to be said is, listen, I'm rocking with you. I'm vibing with you. I really want to try to build something with you. Yeah. It's just you and me. This is us. I ain't saying by you saying it's us that it means it's everybody. I ain't saying it's everybody. I ain't saying got to broadcast it. I ain't got to wear no shirt saying I'm yours, you're mine. I don't have to do that. But can we establish something? Because I feel like once that happens, it takes a little bit of that. You can breathe a little bit. Like, all right, well, let me breathe and really enjoy this path that I'm on with you.